play. We're going to start today with a new segment, Raul's Ranks. So Raul's going to go through his top 5 duos currently in the NBA.
So we got the list for top 5 duos right here. And to start it off, we got a couple honorable mentions. We got Shea and Chet. I didn't pick them because obviously I don't think it's much of a duo yet. Edwards and Towns, same thing. You could throw Gobert in there. And then Durant and Booker, who have been extremely underperforming this year, so I had to leave those guys out. So coming in at number 5 here, top 5 duos in the NBA. We've got Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo at 5. NBA Finals last year, Butler and Adebayo are both great defenders, and on top of it, Butler's a walking bucket in the playoff. When Jimmy Buckets comes to play, you fear the Heat, and they're absolutely absurd. Number 4, a little bit of a shocker. We've got Giannis and Dame here. Now, ability-wise, they're a great duo, and everybody thought that when Dame got traded to the Bucks that it was going to be a walk in the park for them. That Giannis was going to be setting these high screen and rolls, and all of a sudden Dame's going to be spacing the floor. Giannis is going to be getting to the hole easier, but it just has not worked out at all. Giannis refuses to do the high screen and roll enough, and the duo doesn't play off of each other enough. Plus, Dame is a mediocre defender at best. Number 3, we have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who have consistently gone far in the playoffs every year. You've looked at conference finals appearances, you looked at an NBA finals appearance. There's always that little, something in the air though with them where it makes you think, what's going to happen with these guys in the finals? I don't know which one is going to outperform the other one, kind of. Who's going to take the lead and who's going to close the game? So I feel like the two of them they're, from a talent perspective, great, but I'm not so sure that the two of them are that great of a fit together. Two great players, not sure the fit's there. Number 2, we've got a classic, and it's LeBron and AD. A little bit of a controversial one. I know that some people are going to have some things to say about that. Now, LeBron and AD. AD at this point is playing like a top 5 player in the league, especially last night in that game against the Milwaukee Bucks. AD put up about 35 points and about 25 rebounds in that game, was the best defensive player on the floor, and the Lakers came back from 19 down to win the game with LeBron on the bench, might I add. But the two of them, albeit, play very well together, and we've seen them win a championship before. Last year, Western Conference Finals. I think that if they had some other pieces on that team, the Lakers would be a much better team, would be in the title contention more so. And at number 1, who's at number 1? Oh yeah, that's right. They're above the tiers, and they're so far ahead of everybody else right now. And that's Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. Now these two, we know that Murray's never been an all-star before, and we know that Nikola Jokic is the best player on planet Earth right now, won the title, and they beat the living snot out of everybody on the way to the finals last year. 16 wins, 3 losses on the way there, maybe 4 losses. Nonetheless, the two of these guys, even though Murray has never been an all-star, they have played off of each other absolutely perfectly. The high screen and roll, they spam that every game. They try, and even on defense, people were talking about Nikola Jokic being a bad defender. We're going to put him in the screen and roll himself, force him to close out on people. He has kept his part on the defensive end. Jamal Murray gets steals as well. He hits tough shots. Nikola Jokic is the best player on planet Earth. It's not even close. The best duo in the NBA, and they're above the tiers. What do you guys have to say about this?
Most of the time, I'm a little skeptical. But me and him always disagree, it seems. But that's a pretty solid list for the most part. LeBron and AD at 2 is a little tough for me just because, the record. And, I'd probably put Giannis and Dame, even with their first season being together, they're still playing pretty well. They're second in the Eastern Conference. They have, they're on their second coach who's, he's a mediocre coach at best. I mean, it's been a while. But for the most part, that's a good list.
You like it?
Props to you.
You like it. I respect it. What do you got to say?
Give it a grade. Give it a grade, Mike.
I give it an A-.
You give it an A-, so I like it. What do you have to say,
A-.
Thomas? What do you have to say about this list?
I'll give you my grade first. I give it a B+.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So you got 4 A's and an F on there. The Lakers duo cannot feasibly be above the Celtics or the Bucks.
Let's hear what you have to say about this.
Tatum and Brown combining for more points than LeBron and AD. Giannis and Lillard combining for more points than LeBron and AD. Celtics 11 games ahead of the Bucks in the 2 seed, 6 games ahead of the Nuggets in the league. Bucks 2 seed, a little bit behind the Nuggets, still quite a bit ahead of the Lakers. And Neither of those teams are in the play-in. They're both top 2 seeds. They're going to get to play the play-in teams. So, I'm also a little disappointed this year in Jimmy and Bam.
Same old story.
If you moved the Lakers to 4, bumped up the Celtics and Bucks each a spot, and then I'd do a coin flip too I might actually throw the Suns duo ahead of the Heat duo for now. So, actually, I'll give it to the Heat because they were in the finals. So, everything on your list is perfect. Just bump down the Lakers 2 notches. You get a B+ from me.
Okay, fair enough. Now, Hutch, what do you have to say about this?
I'd have to say A+. That's
A+.
100%.
Look at this guy.
It's the correct list.
Coming from the Lakers
It's the correct. I agree. It's the correct list.
The reason I think it's the correct list is because it's tricky. You have to balance results with talent.
And history as well.
And history, yeah, right.
But it's like, right now duos. It's not all-time duos.
Right, but the Heat, we know what they're capable of as a duo. The Suns, we don't have any expectation for them right now. We don't even know if they'll make it out of the play-in, so... And we have no history to indicate they will. Whereas the Heat, we do. We think the Heat can win in the first round, maybe. So, against the Celtics. So, to me, I think it's the perfect list. LeBron and AD, talent-wise, are as good as anybody on the list, really, except for maybe Giannis and Dame when they're both on their game. So, like I say, it's tough to balance it all. But I think you got the teams right and the order right.
I think if you throw Tatum and Brown on the Lakers, they're not in the same position.
Do you think they'd be better?
Yes.
Well, I think if LeBron was on the Celtics instead of Tatum, they'd be better.
I don't think they'd be better.
I think that's
run the offense
that's an opinion that can definitely be thrown out there. I don't know. I don't know what I think about that.
Topic for a different day.
It's a topic for a different day, to be sure.
Yeah, we'll leave that one off.
And the only reason why I didn't give you an A- is no Luka. Where's Luka? Where's Kyrie?
No.
Not even an honorable mention.
That's a good point.
You know what?
That's a good point.
No harsh.
They might be a little above the Suns. That duo. They might be. I might
Luka's
have them
top
as like
3
the
player in the
6.
league.
Luka is a top 3 player in the league.
I don't know if he's top 3.
Oh, okay. Or top
4.
3,
top 5, top 5.
I'll give you top 5.
At the minimum.
Top 5.
At the minimum.
You're right. You know what? They maybe should even be 5, just
they
because
might
of
be
the
better than
production
Butler
they
and
have.
Bam. And
They might.
I forgot about that.
I'll leave you with a B+.
But it's a good list. It's a good list.
It's an A.
I considered it because of the fit.
So Raul, you got
like
about
it.
an A- overall. That's pretty solid.
As expected.
As expected.
His tastes are
Expected.
right.
This guy has always been a stellar student. Okay. Let's get to the next segment. Matchups we're hoping for. So we can do a couple first-round matchups that we would love to see.
For me, I'm going to go with... I want to see the Knicks rematch the Heat.
Who?
From last year.
Is that plausible right now?
This is not taking into account the seeding.
At some point. That's fair.
This is not taking into account the seeding. I don't know if it'll happen in the first round. It could. You never know. Like with the Heat, they jump up and down. You never know. And the Knicks too. But that's a matchup I want to see. That was a second round matchup last year, I think. Mm-hmm. But that's a matchup I want to see. I want to see the Knicks get their revenge, see what they can do. If Randall's not out there, if Mitch and like some of those other guys like OG, if they're not out there, obviously it's a wash.
Yeah, that's tough.
But I'd like to see Brunson get another crack at it. I want to see this team try to make a run.
All right.
Always repping New York here for Mike. Now I'm going to go on a little different bit of a path here.
I think you might steal mine.
I don't think I am, actually. I think that what I'm going to do is I'm only going to talk about first-round matchups here. And the matchup that I really want to see out west, I'm going to say the Thunder versus the Mavericks. I really want to see this matchup badly. We have Luka and Shea, who are both incredibly productive this year. You have Shea putting up 31 a game, 6 assists a game, 6 rebounds a game, and you have Luka, who right now is absolutely going ballistic and just annihilating the entire NBA right now, averaging 34 points a game, 9.5 assists a game, 9 rebounds a game. He's going crazy. The Mavericks are rising up as we speak in the standings. And I think it's theoretical that the Thunder could fall down to third. I think that if the Timberwolves continue to play the way they are, they could move up above the Thunder again. And I think the Nuggets will pass them as well by the time this year ends. So I would love to see Thunder at 3, Mavericks at 6, and I would love to see Luka versus Shea in the first round. I would absolutely love to see that. I think that would kind of right now I think those two guys are kind of seen in the same kind of stratosphere in terms of the MVP race, but really whoever wins that matchup would be seen as kind of like a neck above, you know what I'm saying? Because I think that they have comparable teams. I know that obviously Shea's got J-Dub, he's got Chet on there, but I think that Luka, even though he's got Kyrie, obviously, but I think the teams are kind of equal. I think that, you look at P.J. Washington, you look at Daniel Gafford compared to some of the other role players that they have in the Thunder, and I think that they're comparable, and I would love to see that series in the first round.
That's a good pick, because that might not be too telling for the team, future, but it might settle a little turmoil right now, just between Shea and Luka. A lot of people are trying to crown Shea really quick.
Yeah.
Luka's been there before. We'll see if he could get it done in that series. I'm going to keep it on I'm going to keep it on a similar note. I want to see Nuggets Mavericks. I would love to see the Eastern European superstars go head to head, really see what Luka's made of. We're going into a series, not expecting him to win. I want to see if he can really put up 40 a game in a playoff series to try and carry his team, because I'm a Luka doubter at the moment. He hasn't proven it to me. The Suns' victory was incredible. That's the only one he's got on his resume that really draws me to believe in him. So against Denver, if he could push them to 6 or 7, I would be really impressed with him. And I think that would just be an awesome matchup, because him and Jokic have similar play styles. They're both big, slow, skilled players, and man, that would be a fight.
I did think about that, but I just think with the state of the standings right now, I didn't see that as much of a possibility, but I would love to see that. I would love to see it.
There's a chance they could end up in the 7-8 matchup, lose, and then become the 8 seed.
You never know.
Those are all great picks, by the way. I mean, I think most of these first-round series could be highly entertaining and highly competitive.
Oh, yeah.
We're really not anticipating any huge blowouts, at least at the moment, the way things are shaking out. Maybe, depending on who the Nuggets play.
Maybe in the East.
Maybe. But again, and this is where I'm going to get, to me it's a kind of a tie, because we don't know exactly how the East standings are going to finalize. But whether it's Celtics Heat or Celtics Sixers, or Bucks Heat or Bucks Sixers, you want to talk about not only star power and just exciting markets, teams that's great for the league, the upset potential in the first round. That would just draw a lot of interest. And for me personally, that would be very exciting just to watch, because we've seen the Heat do it before. We saw the Sixers compete really hard last year against the Celtics, and if Embiid's back healthy, they're probably better this year than they were last year. So those would both be very intriguing series, but those are all great picks you guys made too. So.
Yeah. I mean, the Sixers, I think, have a little bit of might have too much ground to make up.
An uphill climb.
I don't think Embiid is going to have the wind after coming back.
Probably not, but
it's going to be really hard for him to get there.
That's a big if with mine.
Yeah.
Just talk about the superstars.
Celtics Heat's an awesome one.
Yeah.
I think this year the Celtics could, they should definitely be able to take out the Heat. But I don't really want to see that series, because one, I'm scared of the Heat, and two, earlier on in the season, Jaylen Brown and Duncan Robinson had a little altercation where Jaylen Brown did a little arm tug, and Duncan Robinson's shoulder could have been dislocated in that act. I don't want to be up 3-1 against the Heat with 5 minutes to go, up 13, and have someone dive at Jaylen Brown's knee. That's the only thing. I would love to see that matchup if that had not happened earlier in the season.
Well, that and also the Heat don't need bulletin board material. They don't need it, and they already have it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So. But yeah, I mean, Heat Bucks too would be an
either
awesome
one,
series.
because either could be an upset.
Both of them.
The history from last year.
Last year, plus they've both been a little disappointing. The Heat really disappointing. I mean, being in the finals, but the Bucks, after trading for Dame, you expect them to be like the team.
Yeah.
Like around the Celtics, like 11 games. That's a lot.
I think any matchup with the Heat you want to see. Heat Celtics, Heat Bucks, any of those matchups.
Keep them away from my Celtics.
Because they can beat anybody. Yep.
They could.
And they can lose to anybody too.
They sure can.
Yeah. Let's
recently.
Let's keep it where we are. Let's continue talking about the play-in. How do we think this is going to end up? So let me pull it up. Right now, the East The Pacers are sitting at 6, so they've snuck out. Then 7, 8, 9, 10. Heat, Sixers, Bulls, Hawks. What are we thinking?
Out east. In the East, it's looking like for sure the Sixers are going to be stuck there. I don't think Embiid's going to be coming back quick enough. I think they're going to be stuck down there in the play-in.
Yep.
And honestly, you really never know what's going to happen with them at this point. I mean, it's tough when you lose your key guy and a guy who Embiid was going to win the MVP for sure this year if he stayed healthy with the numbers he was putting up. But they're going to be grounded in there. The Heat or the Miami Heat or the Miami Cold right now, quite frankly, with the way they're playing, and they're going to be stuck down
They're
there.
chilly.
They've had some really bad losses of late. I don't know if anybody's been keeping up with that, but you're looking at they lost to the Wizards, they lost to the Washington Wizards, okay, they lost to the Warriors, the Lizards, I guess.
Yeah, 7 in a row.
They're not the Wizards.
They lost to the Warriors as well recently, like last night, I think. I mean, they've been horrible of late. The problem is their schedule does not look to be getting any easier at the moment. So I think they're going to be stuck down there in the play-in as well, which is awful for me as a Celtics fan, and it's awful for Bucks fans out there too. I know they do not want any part of another rematch with the Heat.
No. All right. Then what do we got out west at the moment? I know the Lakers are in 9, Warriors are in 10, with the Rockets quickly catching up. And then 7 is Kings, 8 is Suns. I'm really intrigued by this. The fact that, I mean, the Warriors might get past before this is even over, but 2 of the 5 teams, Mavericks, Kings, Suns, Lakers, Warriors, or Rockets, are going to miss the playoffs, which is, if it was the Mavericks, 2 years in a row would be absurdly disappointing. Kings, no one really expects too much from the Kings, but it would be a letdown after being the 3 seed last year. The Suns, they have sold their soul to get the team they have now. That would be a catastrophe. The Lakers, I mean, they're in the same spot they were last year. No one really expects them to win anything this year. Same with the Warriors. So if they miss the playoffs, it wouldn't be too big a deal. I think everyone's expecting the Warriors to not make it.
I mean, outside of the Rockets, all those teams, it'll be a letdown. Like a team like the Lakers and the Warriors, they have a lot of money tied up. I think the Suns.
And the names.
Obviously the huge names. You got 2 superstars on the same team. You have
pretty much every team has 2 superstars.
Warriors have Steph, still like one of the best players in the league. They have, Clay and Draymond. They've fallen off a little bit, but they're still capable guys.
Big names still.
Yeah, they were big stars.
But I mean, you look at the Phoenix is by far. If they were not to make the playoffs with 2 superstars and then 1 star, that'd be. And plus, they mortgaged their whole future to get that team. Like that's a huge letdown, and they probably have to. The front office could be looking at themselves thinking we have to ship someone out because I don't know if you can run it back like that.
It's highly likely that the Suns will look very different next year. I mean, if you just look at their schedule, they only play teams from this point on that are better than them, at least record-wise.
Yeah.
So it's highly likely they drop to at least the 9 seed. Could even drop to 10. I don't think any of us think they'll miss, but the odds that they play well enough to stay in that 7-8 bracket or even move up is very unlikely. Yeah. So it's very possible they're in a 1-game situation, maybe playing against the Lakers, Rockets, or Warriors. And then we have to question ourselves, do we think they'll win that 1 game? Because then they're still going to have to go beat someone else again in the 7-8 game. So it's highly likely that the Suns will fall, and then the top 2 teams would probably be the Kings and the Lakers or something like that. That's what it's starting to feel like.
Yeah, I think the Mavericks are going to stick it out and stay up top. I actually think it's going to stay exactly the way it is. Even though the Suns have a hard schedule, I think they've been playing all 3 guys recently. I think they're going to stick it out. They have a 2-game lead with how many games left? We got 10 games to go. It's harder than it sounds to make up 2 games in 10 games. I know the Lakers have the tiebreaker, right?
Yeah.
They do.
And they have the easier schedule.
And tonight,
I know they have the easier schedule, but
like just tonight,
they've been really weird though. The Lakers. I think the Suns have lost to some interesting teams. Like they've lost 3 or 4 to the Spurs. Yep. But the Lakers are strange. I mean, they've gotten some of their wins when Austin Reeves has been their best player, like
or Russell,
like last night against the Bucks and earlier in the year against the Celtics.
Mm-hmm.
Just strange wins. I don't know how well their full squad meshes together. I think the Suns' squad meshes together. They're just not that good.
When Kevin Durant's not been playing great.
I got to bring up one last thing about the Suns, too.
Yeah.
Like, we were talking about someone getting shipped out. They
It
can't
would have
do
to
that.
be KD.
It would have to be KD. Booker's their star boy. They drafted him in the draft, and they're
And
not
Beal
going to
doesn't want to leave.
Well, Beal's got a no-trade
Yeah,
clause.
that's what I'm
They
saying.
gave up the house to get him, so it's going to be KD or they're done.
And KD may request it if they don't make the playoffs. He might be requesting that trade.
He'll be in Denver soon.
Or you never know, back in Golden State. You never know.
Might be in Boston.
He might be in Boston.
You never
Drew
know.
Holiday and Sam Hauser might make it work.
Golden State might be desperate in the summer. They might try to make a move for him.
Reboot the
Wow.
dynasty.
Oh my gosh. Maybe Phoenix will just buy him out.
The internet would break again.
Yeah, but back to the East. I think the Heat. I have a really bad feeling that the Heat are gonna lose the first playing game with this.
Yeah.
I have an awful feeling.
Gotta watch out for that Miami Ice.
The Miami Ice is going to freeze me in my seat if they pull that off. Right now they're a game and a half behind the Pacers. They could come out. If they're the 3 seed, that would be 3 seed and 7 seed is awesome because then they're not in the Celtics bracket at all. Because the Celtics get the 8 and then the winner of 4-5.
Yeah.
So then it's like Heat and Bucks go at it. I'll take the Sixers. I don't care if Embiid's playing. He's not going to be 100%. And the Celtics have gone crazy against the Sixers. Bulls and Hawks.
They're not making it.
No one's expecting.
Penciling
much
the
from them.
Heat and the Sixers. They're not going.
I
Bulls
don't know about the Sixers. They could fall. They could fall to the.
Depends on
they
if
could
Embiid's
definitely
back.
fall-
I don't
especially
think
the
they're that
Hawks.
bad. Like those like Hawks, like
Is Trey,
Brooklyn too. They're
there's no
they're
Trey
not
scheduled
no
to come
shot.
back.
I got
I don't
no
know.
clue. I have no clue about Trae Young. Who cares?
I mean, in a one
DeJounte's
game,
been great.
If Embiid's not back, the Sixers are probably worse than even the Hawks.
They might
without
be.
Trey.
They are.
They're probably worse than the Hawks without Trey. Yeah, and the Bulls. The Bulls without Levine are actually not the worst. But yeah, that's I think we've exhausted that. But the play-in is gonna be very, very,
Excited for it. Coming up soon.
very tough for some high-ranking teams. All right, let's get on to our next segment. Tom's Title Island. So I'm gonna tell you guys what % chance I think a bunch of these teams are gonna have to win the NBA Finals this year.
Let's hear it.
All right. Lakers, 1% chance to win the NBA Finals. Thunder, 1% chance. Kings, 1.5. 76ers, 1.5. Knicks, 2%. Timberwolves, 2.5%. Might seem a little low. All those other teams fighting injuries, low expectations. The Thunder might be low as well. Timberwolves 2.5%. Don't know if Cat's coming back. A lot of these teams above them are playing really well. Mavericks 2.5%. Heat 3%. Pelicans 6%. Suns 7%. Clippers 8%. Bucks 13%. Nuggets 25%. And Celtics 26% chance. I'm only giving the edge to the Celtics because I think they have an easier ride.
What kind of island is this? It's got mountains, the Celtics, it's like Ireland. Got the Lakers. It's got the Lakers at 1%. I mean, I'd put them higher. Like I know
The
they're
Lakers?
They're in the play-in, so I know that's kind of what kind of lowers them. But I think the Lakers have a higher shot than that. I put them above the Sixers, the Kings, even OKC.
Well, if Joe, the 1.5% chance is only if Joel's coming back. which-
even with that, even with them out there,
No
their
way.
second round
Yes.
exit.
What have the
No
Sixers
way.
ever done? The Lakers were in the conference finals last year.
They won just as many conference finals games as the Sixers did last year.
They were there.
didn't do anything.
I'd still put
It
the
was a
Lakers.
close sweep, right?
It was the closest sweep.
It was a close sweep.
Your island also has some Pelicans on the outside. They're a little high too. I don't know. I mean, Zion is
I'm high on the Pelicans.
on his day, he's one of the best players in the league, but I just don't think they have like quite enough. Like CJ is a good player. Like even Ingram's like he's a borderline all-star at times, but I don't know. There's something about them. They're just not. They don't have that kind of buzz. Like they don't. I'm not seeing it with them. I'd take the Mavs over them.
That's fair.
Hell, even the Lakers.
As we
maybe.
know, the Pelicans were my dark horse.
He's a
episode.
big Pelican fan, but I don't
I
see
like-
it for them.
I buy the Pelicans if they're healthy. I buy into them.
And
Ryan,
one
what do you
one last critique of your island. I'd swap the Nuggets and the Celtics. I'd give the slight edge to the Nuggets just because
I agree.
they were there last year. They got it done. They know how to win it. And not that the Celtics like obviously they went to the finals 2 years ago. Like they have a more than capable team of lifting their 18th.
Yeah.
But I think you got to give it to Jokic. You just got to give it to the Nuggets.
I know. For me, Celtics homer, but
Reppin'
Yeah.
Tatum up there.
repping Tatum and K. Porzy. Nuggets got a tough ride there. I think the Celtics until hopefully they don't run into the Heat at all. Once they run into the Bucks, that's going to really be their only like real test. The Nuggets got a lot of teams that they got to get through. And just on paper, the Celtics have a better roster than the Nuggets. The Nuggets starting five might fit together better, but the Celtics talent-wise are better. I know they haven't gotten it. They've been a little disappointing in past couple years, but they got to the finals with a much worse team than this. And the Nuggets, a lot of people are worried about Porzingis injuries. Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal have been a lot more injury-ridden than Porzingis, so all the haters of Porzingis need to stop worrying about him.
I gotta tell you, your island was decent to an extent. I will say, as a Celtics fan myself, I'd have to give the Nuggets the edge, just because in the NBA, as we know, it's the guy that gets you the championship. It's a very superstar-driven league.
Yeah.
They've got the best player in the league. They've got Nikola Jokic. But as you said, with the injuries, if Jamal goes down, if Porter Jr. goes down, you never know what's going to happen with Denver. And their ride is tougher, too. So I can see why they're that close in the rankings. The biggest problem that I think I had with your ranking that's going very under the radar here is the Phoenix Suns being at a 7% chance of getting to the title island. That is despicable, and that needs to be changed instantly. I think there's a chance Phoenix doesn't end up in the playoffs. I think Kevin Durant he's won 2 series since leaving Golden State with super teams at his disposal. Devin Booker had that great run to the finals, but as we know, he didn't do anything before Chris Paul showed up, and Bradley Beal's been a fraud his whole career. He's just put up empty numbers and played no defense. Plus the rest of that roster is not filled out. You've got Grayson Allen and you've got Yusuf Nurkic. Royce O'Neal maybe here and there can give you a bucket, but other than that team is pretty garbage from there on out. So I think that the Suns are overrated on this title island, and I think that you got to bump up the Wolves. I think you've got to bump up the Thunder a little bit and give them a little bit of respect for being the 1 seed. Maybe even give the Mavericks another % chance, but split that 7% that Phoenix got. Take 6 of it away, give it to those 3 teams, and leave Phoenix at 0.5 to 1% on the island.
Bump up them Knicks too. They got the better Jalen.
Hold on. The Knicks will stay at 2%
The Knicks
until they get
Keep 'em there.
get Julius Randle back.
You guys know the island Bikini Atoll? You ever heard of that?
Hold on. I need to address this Suns take. One, have you ever heard of Ball Ball?
I have, and he sucks. He's not a great
That's
NBA
6%
player.
of their 7.
Yeah, in all seriousness. Like you said before, the guys are the ones who get there. Kevin Durant is still a top 10 player in the NBA, depending on where you put him.
10.
Devin Booker, probably top 12. I mean, Kevin Durant's better than anyone except Luka on any of the teams under him. And
Ant's pushing him now. I will say that. Not yet. He might not be
close.
better, but he's
He might be
pushing
close,
him.
yeah.
He's pushing him.
Wouldn't quite put that yet.
No, not yet.
As a
but
fan
he-
of both, I
yet
wouldn't
either.
quite do
But
that.
he's
yeah.
moving up
and
there
I'm
a little
assuming
bit.
Embiid's hurt, but everyone else, I mean, actually maybe Shea. Shea might be above him, but I'm still keeping the Thunder at 1%. They're not doing anything. Chet is not going to hold up against a single center in the Western Conference in the playoffs. But the Suns, they are the team that I think matches best with Denver. They have a completely different play style than every other team in the West. And we know they took the most games last year from Denver with an injury-riddled team, no Bradley Beal. I know Bradley Beal hasn't been proven. Kind of a we'll-see situation, but just because of how they match up with Denver, that's why I'm giving them the edge over a lot of these other Western Conference teams. And I really think that Kevin Durant, if he comes to play, which I'm banking on this year, I think he's going to come to play in the playoffs. And if he does, a lot of teams are going to have a lot of trouble.
We'll see if they make it.
I have a feeling I know what your quabble is going to be.
Yeah, where are the Bulls? They're at least 20%. No. But you guys have ever heard of the island Bikini Atoll? It's an island where they used to test nuclear bombs, and now everything's all messed up. The trees aren't growing correctly. The animals are all sick. It's a lot like this island. Everything's messed up and out of place. I would put the Lakers... The Suns are 7%?
Yeah.
I would flip them and the Lakers because the Suns are likely to be the 9 seed.
I don't think they will be. I think the Lakers are going to be there.
Also, where'd you put the Clippers?
8%.
They shouldn't even maybe be on this. They've been playing pretty poorly recently, and they're the Clippers.
They're the Clippers.
Like I would give the Lakers their 7% then. Like you think it's more likely.
Why the Lakers?
Because you think it's more likely Jalen Brunson's going to be Finals MVP than LeBron or AD this year.
Yes.
It's the path too. I think that's part of it. I
the
agree.
Celtics-
I agree. The Lakers
I
are
do
better,
think
but
that, yeah.
But they can't get through the Celtics and Bucks. I don't think.
I mean, how many teams? Like the West is way more difficult than the East. The Knicks.
Yeah, but we have to look at history. The Lakers have shown they got to the conference finals last year, and you have the Clippers ahead
against
of them.
the Memphis Grizzlies, who Ja Morant didn't play half the series because he fell on his face trying to do a silly dunk, and then they played the Warriors, who had just been exhausted in a 7-game series against the Kings, who are an awful matchup for the Lakers. They finally meet Denver and get
lit up.
Yeah, well, the Clippers didn't do much last year.
Were they the only sweep in the NBA in the playoffs last year? I think they were the only.
No, the Sixers swept the Nets in the first, in the first
You're
round.
right.
And in Tom's defense, like for the Clippers too, like last year, like if Kawhi stayed on the court, like that might have gone different.
I know,
And there was no Paul
but that-
George
but that
or
is-
I mean, he's
Harden.
assuming health.
But that has to factor in. The Clippers haven't proven anything in years now.
Yeah,
Ever.
right.
Haven't ever proved anything.
That's fair.
So how do they have a 7x times chance to go to the finals than the Lakers do?
I mean,
Who were
Kawhi
there- who were
won the
close
Finals
last
MVP
year.
1 year before LeBron won his most recent one.
Yeah, but he was in a different time zone.
Yeah, on
a different
on a
team,
much
though.
worse team than he is currently on.
I don't know about
don't know
that.
about that.
I would
Worst coach.
disagree.
I disagree with that.
And I would disagree
Harden's
the
not-
coach too. Nick
You think
Nurse was a
Nurse
great
better
coach.
coach than Ty Lue?
I
Nick
do.
Nurse was a great coach. He was doing a
He's
really
a
good
good coach.
job
He's
out
not-
there.
he's not Ty
Well,
Lue.
Ty Lue just said they have no identity.
I don't know. Ty Lue doesn't look to
Interview
be
recently.
being
He
that
said
great of a
they're
No
coach right
identity
now.
to me just means that's just an excuse.
Well, he said
when
they're
you're
soft.
losing a lot. They are soft.
You got
So that's all I'm saying.
Harden
Lakers
trying
should
to
be
block
above
his
them.
own teammates.
The Lakers are soft.
They should be above those two teams. That's all I'm saying.
No way. You think
Yes.
the Lakers have a 10% chance to win the finals this year?
It should just be higher than the Clippers or Suns. That's all. However you want to do the percentages.
Do you think it should be higher than where the Clippers?
I agree, but I don't think they should have. I'm not necessarily saying flip the odds and say give the
Just
Lakers
make it
a 7,
higher. It's
but
higher.
make them above the Clippers, and I would give the Clippers a 2% chance. I would give even the Sun, like I said, the Suns a 1 or a 2% chance. Those teams are they're doing nothing right now, and
Yeah.
honestly, with the injuries too, Beal was out a lot of the year. You never know with Kawhi and Paul George, very injury-prone players. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, injuries can change all of this, but like you said, I mean, it's the stars that get it done at the end of the day. My list, a lot of stars up top, and a lot of the teams that I have the stars on are playing pretty well. Some of them not so well. But that's my list. You want to give me some grades? I assume I'm not as stellar of a student as Ryan.
Not quite. I'll give you, although not. I mean, I had a couple critiques, but overall, it's not horrible. I'll give it a B.
I'll take it.
I'm going to be a little bit more critiqueful here. I think I'm going to give you a C or a C+.
Don't know if critiqueful is a word, but
I'll go
we'll go with it. We're rolling.
Critiquefulness.
C, because a lot of it I think is pretty close. I just think some of it's really messed up.
I think we can agree on that.
This should be quarantined, this island.
We'll see when the playoffs come. I don't know how much LeBron we're going to be seeing in the playoffs this year.
I don't know how much Clippers we're going to be seeing either, or Suns.
We're going to see at least 7 games of the Clippers.
Clippers might be in the play-in by the end of this with the way they're playing.
And the Suns may
No way.
not make the playoffs. They won't make the playoffs, I'll say.
We'll see.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, speaking of the playoffs, which non-stars do we think are going to affect the playoffs this year the most? So let's just go around and say one guy, and maybe if we want to go around and say a second guy afterwards, just one guy who's, he's not an all-star, he's not a star, just a role player who needs to star in their role to make a big difference this year. You want to start, Mike?
I'm going to go with MPJ out in Denver. And
Okay.
I think because...
A little closer to a star, but...
He's not a star. Like he's a great player, but he's no star. Star potential, like he came out being a star with star potential, but I don't think he's a star right now.
Okay.
But when he's on his game, he can give you 27, he can give you 30. And like having a player like that like on your disposal as like the third best player, that's huge. And you already have, you have Murray, he elevates in the playoffs. You obviously have Jokic, best player in the league. So having a third option who can give you like 27, 30 on his day, that's huge in my opinion.
I agree. I mean, it's a good pick. I little closer to star, but yeah, he's probably, you could probably say he's a role player.
Star potential, but not a star. Like
yeah, but you're right. If he can erupt any given night and drop 30, so.
I'll go next here, and we're going to stay in Denver, actually. We're going to stay 5280 feet above sea level here. We're going to stay a mile above. And we're actually going to go Aaron Gordon. And I think that if you look at their title run last year, I would say Aaron Gordon was actually their third best player. Michael Porter Jr. was a little bit of a roller coaster. He was very up and down. He was up against the Wolves. He was all right against the Suns. He was good against the Lakers, really good in that series. As we know, he shot about 12% from 3 in the NBA Finals, yet they still got it done. And why did they get it done? Because you obviously know you're going to get your stuff from Jokic, you're going to get your stuff from Murray, you're going to get your stuff from your duo. Aaron Gordon was that guy who was just playing bully ball down low. The matchups were, he's just a phenomenal athlete. You can dump it to him down low if you got a small guy on him. He's going to dunk it. He's going to roam the baseline for Joker to give him those lobs and do that. He's a very versatile defender as well. He can guard, last year he was guarding Adebayo in the finals for stretches. He could guard Jimmy Butler for stretches. He can switch on to just about anybody. More mobile than Porter, I'll say. He can even space the floor every once in a while and give you a 3. He's not a great three-point shooter, and he's not the best free throw shooter either compared to Michael Porter Jr. But I think that overall, you saw in the finals, Porter Jr. definitely went down and didn't play well, but Aaron Gordon was that rock that kind of for the entirety of that playoff run, he was playing at a high level. So I think that for me, if they're going to get it done again and go back-to-back, you're going to need to get Aaron Gordon playing lockdown defense and giving you 15 a night, maybe 15 to even 20.
Yeah.
Those are both great. Thomas, you want to go?
Yeah, I'll go. I'm deciding between two. I think I'm going to go with Bobby Portis on the Milwaukee Bucks. We've seen recently him and Dame shared 30-point games together. He, when Giannis has been out, has really stepped up. And I think if anything is going to help the Bucks get it done, especially because Lillard is a very inconsistent player. He'll have bomb nights, and then he'll have awful nights. Giannis is pretty consistently great. Middleton, we don't even know. Nobody knows with him. He's in and out. He's not really giving you the output he once was. Bobby Portis, still one of the guys in his prime on that team, really can step up as the sixth man. And if he's has a series where he averages 17 a game, that might put them over the top. I mean, if he goes really well against a team like the Celtics, that could definitely change the series outcome.
I have two guys on the same team. I'll start with Jaden McDaniels on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Last season, I believe he broke his hand either the day before the play-in or like 2 games before he punched a wall.
When he punched the wall.
He punched the wall,
Mark
yes.
Stoudemire, classic.
Yeah, and I think there was some fight with Rudy Gobert, and there was a suspension involved. I think it's first things first says they're a very silly team.
They are silly.
And that is correct. Everyone on that team is silly.
They're silly.
And that's why, frankly, I don't believe in them that much. But I will say, Jaden McDaniels hasn't had as good a year as he had last season. He's had a little bit of a downtick as far as his efficiency and maybe even his defense. But if he can play at his best level, which is just a great 3-and-D defender and a knockdown three-point shooter, look at who they might play in the first round. It's likely they'll play Luka in the first round. You need Jaden McDaniels to guard Luka.
Yep.
He's going to be the guy. Just like Andrew Wiggins did a
And
good job on Luka.
Anthony Edwards might guard Luka.
That would not go well for Anthony Edwards.
Really?
Yes.
Luka's got size on him.
Anthony Edwards can't do anything against Luka.
McDaniels has got a
definitely
wingspan.
stronger.
He's tall.
But it'll be up to Jaden McDaniels. He'll be the guy who fields that task, and as well as any other wing they may play. The West is full of great forwards, so
Yeah.
he'll have to play as well as he can, I think, for them to actually be a potential contender.
All right, let's do snake draft. Go again with, you said you had another guy on the Wolves?
We'll stay in the land of 1,000 lakes. We'll keep talking about the T-Wolves here.
I love corny jokes.
I know, that's nice. We'll go with Naz Reid because he is another role player for the T-Wolves who, when he is on, he is a really great addition.
Yeah.
Especially with the questions around Karl Anthony Towns right now. He's going to definitely have to play some big minutes. Not maybe 30 minutes a game, but the minutes he plays, he'll have to be impactful. He's shot the 3 great this year. I think he's maybe 42%. And there's certain games where he can get a lot of rebounds when he has enough minutes.
Mm-hmm.
In these games against a team like the Nuggets, say they play against them, or these other teams like the Lakers, or teams with good bigs, obviously. You'll need him when guys get in foul trouble. You'll need him to stretch the floor out to get AD away from the basket.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just another guy where if he's playing at his best level, that'll help them actually be a potential contender.
Yeah, Naz Reid's definitely one of the guys who makes a big difference at the center position in the West, depth-wise, especially if Karl Towns comes back healthy. Not many teams have 2 great bigs.
Let alone 3.
Let alone 3 if Naz Reid's playing well. I'm going to say, looks like I'm the only guy picking from the East. I'm going to go with Sam Hauser. Guys,
I thought about that. Yeah.
he has been an absolute flamethrower this season from 3. Last year he didn't play a lot, didn't really do anything in the playoffs. This season, Joe has really set him up for success. They run plays for him. Recently he had a 10 3-point game before the third quarter ended. He has been absolutely awesome. He'll have an off game here or there. If he has a couple games in the playoffs where he hits somewhere between 5 and 7 threes, that can completely alter a series. That could just put a team to bed and let the main guys maybe get a fourth quarter off in an early series. Sam Hauser, and against the Nuggets, top 5 guy for guy matches up pretty well, Celtics and Nuggets. The Nuggets bench is a little bit suspect. Sam Hauser, Pritchard, and Al Horford, I think, can make the difference. Sam Hauser out of those guys, though, I think can have the most impact just because of the three-point shooting and the way he shoots threes. Al Horford, he has a little buck shot. He hitches. He's a good defender on big men, but he's old. Sam Hauser is the guy who has one of those unguardable three-point shots. It's either going to go in or it's not going to go in. You're not going to alter it.
Yeah, so I'm actually going to go back out west here. I like your pick there with Sam Hauser. I did like it a lot. I think that he could definitely give you 15 points on 5 threes in a playoff game when it matters most.
Yep.
Now, I know you're really high on this team. You were high on this team in your title island, and you've been high on this team as a dark horse. I'm actually going to pick a player from that team, and I think...
Is it my favorite?
And I think it is. I'm going to go with Herb Jones.
Yes.
Herb Jones, as he was talking about with Jalen McDaniels,
Yes.
Herb Jones is perhaps the best wing defender in the entire NBA. He's going to be a first-team all-defensive player this year, and he's started knocking down his threes very consistently now. He's been an extremely good three-point shooter. He's basically giving you all the 3-and-D stuff you need. He's on a pretty good deal as well. The Pelicans got him for pretty cheap, too. So I think that Herb Jones is going to have to, like you were saying, too. In the first round, if we get that matchup where it's Pelicans versus Clippers, potentially, and you've got Herb Jones, I mean, he's the guy right there. You can have Zion on either one of Kawhi or Paul George, but you're going to need a Herb to guard one of those guys. Maybe you even throw him on Harden. Who knows? You throw him on Harden because Harden's the initiator of all the offense. You throw him on him. He can guard any of those guys. He can guard just about anybody in the NBA. And I think that, if you can get Brandon Ingram back healthy, and you've got Herb Jones guarding all these guys in the wing, you've got Point Zion going full flow, being these 25, 50 pounds that he's lost this season. You never know what's going to happen with the Pelicans. So.
Maybe even 100.
Yeah.
We don't know.
You never know.
And I'm going to come back east. I'm going to stay close.
Another
I'm taking
east.
the big ragu, Dante DiVincenzo. That's his nickname, the big ragu. Ragu sauce. As Jalen Brunson said in his podcast. But in all seriousness, Dante DiVincenzo is playing very underrated this season. He's got a great shot. Tibbs is running 38, 40 minutes a game. He's a guard. He's a hard-nosed defender. He's got handle. He can drive. He's got everything you need, and he's playing underrated this year. One of the most underrated players in the league.
All right, I agree. Dante DiVincenzo definitely could make a difference.
He's better than Sam Adams.
If you're hearing that nickname,
He is.
he's the guy.
He's probably
Big
Steps up when it's big for Villanova. 6 man off the bench, won the title.
He might be a little more skilled than Sam Hauser, but I don't know if he has as much impact on the game. That'd be my argument.
Hogwash.
All right. I love it. Those guys are all going to be critical for their respective teams. Let's do 2 trivia questions, short ones today,
Just to end it off.
just to seal the deal. First one. The Celtics, they've clinched the 1 seed in the East, of course. How many teams clinched playoff berth before the Celtics clinched the 1 seed in the East? You guess first.
This season, you mean? Or?
Yes, this season. How many teams clinched playoff berth, like a guaranteed spot in the playoffs, before the Celtics clinched the 1 seed in the East?
0.
Ooh,
None.
should be 0. Yeah.
A big O. That just goes to show how dominant the Celtics have been this season.
Thank you. Nobody knew.
Nobody, what?
And nobody knew they were good. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a shocking trivia question.
You'd think that they would clinch the 1 seed before anyone else even makes the playoffs in the West, for sure?
Oh, sure. I don't know.
It's a good point, though.
Great question.
I think that's
great,
pretty alarming.
Great question. Thank you.
Hogwash. Oh my. All
What's
right.
the next one?
A little bit
Are
of
the
a-
Celtics
Hopefully this
good?
one's better.
This one's a little better. A little bit of a science-based question. Basketball is a sport that relies very, very heavily on genetics. And one of the signs that proves this, that it relies more on genetics than almost every other sport, is the number of identical twins that have been in the NBA. Because that's a strictly genetic trait that will correlate to 2 players making it. All of the twins in the NBA have been identical twins, so that's partial hint for the answer. How many pairs of twins have there been in the NBA?
Ever?
Yeah, I know.
Each of you guess.
The Thompson twins and the Morris brothers.
And the
I know.
Plumlees.
Lopez's too.
No, they're not twins.
They're not
the
twins?
Plumlees are, there's
No, the
3 of
Plumlees
them.
are-
Oh.
Lopez's, Robin and Brooke.
Yeah, Lopez.
They're identical.
That's a good point.
Of all time. So it's,
I'll say like
you're probably not going to guess them all. Just each
Davises?
person,
like a number
each
you
person
want.
just guess a number.
I'll say 6.
I'll go 8.
4.
11.
What?
Oh, wow.
11 twins. I don't have the list in front of me, but there have been 11 pairs of twins in the NBA, which is pretty remarkable. That it's a huge correlation as to why basketball relies so heavily on genetics. Because if one guy out of the set of brothers is going to make it,
Both of them are. Work ethic is the only thing that's going to bring the other one back.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of fun stats like that. Especially a lot of these twins are big guys.
Yeah,
So-
so they're going to be in.
And when if you're 7 feet tall, you already have like a 10% chance to make the league, which is pretty crazy. All right. awesome segment today, guys. That's going to do it. Thank you for watching the 4-Point Play. Feel free to like, subscribe, check out some of our other content.
Like and subscribe.